See, what I said about Asia Degree's mom could have in fact played a part in this. I stand by that. I stand by that. See, to not speak up in the area of untold. No. To be a unspoken of as an individuality, as in to be unspoke of, is to go completely untold. That's what I'm trying to say. I feel that there's much more than what's meeting the eyes as in this story pertaining to this family, Asia Degree's family. Something there in the home environment is even wrong in itself, or was wrong at that time before Asia came up missing. It had to be. There had to be something going on in that family that is completely untold of, which is why Asia came to be disappearing in the first place. Something there went down, and the little girl more than likely was in the middle of it. See, to have a mother and father fighting from the child, to have a mother and a father as well as a father sometimes fight in the household. See, everyday individuals have fights, and I don't mean fights physically. I mean fights in the form of words. Many of us human beings have disagreements even with our own partners, where we choose not to fist fight and yet use an exchange of words, and sometimes those words ain't completely abusive, or they're not completely violent, I should say, and yet they're enough to spread harm. The wording back and forth between, say, a husband and a wife. I feel that there was probably a mistress. There could have in fact been a mistress involved in this situation. This is why the family need to be scoped out even more than they are. Police need to focus less on the outside and start to begin to focus within the four walls of that house in which this child had actually lived. They need to scope more into her living environment, because something is completely there that is not being said, and yet it's being there completely like a whisper in the ear of something was going on. And I don't mean like a whisper in my ear, but I'm saying intuition, your belly, your gut feeling that something, no, I ain't hearing voices. I'm saying something right here is telling me, and in my gut, and I can't be the only one that's sensing this, something else was going on within that house. Besides just the bed squeaking of the little girl. I'm sensing there had to be some type of mistress, either with that father stepping outside the bounds of his house, the confines of his house, even working at night. Either it was a mistress and him being up late at night, as in leaving out late at night, despite him working at that time. Either the husband had a mistress on the side, or his wife was cheating on him. Something is completely strange and out of bounds, as in out of range. One of those parents of that young child might have actually, in fact, been cheating. One of them, or either both, or something like that. Either one of them was cheating on each other, and the child knew about it, and it was spoken of, say, out of range of one of the other parents hearing about it as a child was speaking on it, and yet she said it in front of one of these parents. And they didn't like that, to the fact they took it upon themselves to put her in a hole in the ground. Not 6 feet down, but far enough for her to ever not speak those words again, of her knowing about something of that family, of one of them spouses or whatever cheating on the other. Because see, that type of thing go down in homes, and it's a secret as well. To be a mother or a father and have a young child, and for somebody to step outside of the home to cheat, on that other individual sometimes is for a child to actually know about it and speak about it in the area of conviction, as in being convicted on the other side, as in the other partner probably sooner or later coming to realize and know about it if it's ever spoken of. That's what I'm trying to say. These type of things go down every day, where a husband or a wife, once again I'm repeating, a husband or a wife is cheating on the other, and yet that one spouse never say, as in it being told, and yet the child completely knows, and yet the child brings it up, as in speaks it out, but not in earshot location where that other parent that is being cheated on knows about it. They say it, and yet the other parent doesn't know, and yet the parent that's doing the cheating actually knows, as well as the child knows. And so to take somebody out like that, as in somebody knowing that somebody's cheating, it's to completely take that person out of the picture by getting rid of them, as in evicting them, as completely throwing them away, as in their life away. That's another thing that came to mind. See, once again, when stuff like this goes on, such as a missing persons or a murder or whatever, sometimes you don't know, especially when there's four walls of a house, you don't always just go outside and seek outside. You got to seek within. Like when that person yesterday, when the lady went missing for 3 days and people couldn't hardly put the pieces together, and I said, the police gotta stop looking outside on the borders of the different cities as they were. I said, y'all gotta look within the campground. It don't help solve a puzzle, is all I'm trying to say, is to go too far out of the very location of where the root cause was at. Where environment was, where something was involved. To go outside of that is to actually become lost sometimes. Yes, it is. To expand, to know that there was a missing person or individual that might have in fact been murdered. To go too far away from the actual environment, which could have in fact been a crime scene, if it is or it isn't, is to go too far and get lost in the case. That's why you got to stick inside where the root of where the environment was actually enclosed, in that tight-knit space within that tight-knit family, in the area of this girl. Trying to locate her, even if it's a dead body somewhere. Got to look inside. Because just because a woman gets on TV, or even a man gets on the news, like I said before, and get the dripping tears pleading out, that doesn't make them less guilty, is all I'm trying to say. Because that very individual could be putting on a front and face just to show a media that they didn't play a part in any of it. Because remember, to be guilty and go to jail is to serve life in jail for that very thing. And to walk away from it is to show a very false face of not being identified, and you actually being the one that was involved in playing a part in a child's murder like that. It's parents all over that have in fact murdered their kids with their own two hands, or in a vehicle and just pushing them out in the lake somewhere, or allowing their husband to kill the kid, and then they get on national TV and get the grieving and sobbing and all that other stuff, putting on a false show that's not even real. It's portrayed real because they want you to believe it. Because who's not going to get on any TV knowing that their child is gone? And even if it's a false fake front, who's not going to do that in order to get you to believe? Because it will be completely highly unnatural for, say, a mother to be involved in her own child's death and then not get on TV and show some sign of feeling that she's distraught, even if she's not. Because see, even that in itself would look guilty. When somebody said, well, the mother, you cannot be naive by this type of stuff, is what I'm trying to say. When somebody said, there's no way that the mother could have played a part in this, when I spoke that out to them, they said there's no way that the mother can play a part in this because she was sobbing on TV. Well, who is not going to? I mean, if you want to go to jail for life, then stand up there as a mother with no emotion and see how quickly the cops come pick you up. An act has to be, I'm saying an act as in the very nature of acting out something, has to be there, even if it's unreal, to show that you have not been a part of something. It's to drive certain things away from you. Even if that mother didn't murder her child and yet she knows somebody close to the family or the father himself that murdered the child, the mother still is still her responsibility to portray some type of emotion in all this. Because if she don't, and she sits up there blank face, I'm saying the day that they went out and everybody was looking for her, as soon as she came up missing, and the mother, it was brought to her awareness that the child was missing. Soon as she presented herself on that national news, if she didn't show no type of emotion, the world would have looked in on her as if she was a psychopath. A psychopath, a sociopath, whatever you want to call it, path in the terms of psychological form. To not show emotion when something like that happens, such as a disaster or somebody going missing, to never show no form of emotion is to show that you had something to do with it. And so, to come and look like a right-standing individual in American society is to go along with the show, even if you had nothing to do with it, by just being yourself and crying for the simple fact your child is gone and missing and you don't know where she's at. See, it's all type of ways that this story can be flipped, as it even the resolution being found. Because if the mother is innocent, then of course she's going to show emotion. But even if she's guilty, she's going to show emotion. Because if she doesn't show emotion as a child is missing, people will say, you know what, something is in fact wrong with this mother. Something is wrong with this mother. Her child is missing and yet she's not shedding no tears, which means she has something to do with it. Yes, the national public will think that. They'll think that and believe that because remember, everybody goes by look anyway. We're here in American society where we're groomed to think that celebrities based upon the look is the most serious thing to be taken serious, and yet they're completely artificial, and yet we all go by the look of what is glamorized. So it's the same in the area of devastation. The look is the most important vital thing in this, and so to play a role out is to play it right. And that means if you're innocent, you get up there and cry, and even if you're guilty, you get up there and cry. You show something that takes the attention off of you. That's what I'm trying to say. See, people who are naive don't understand this type of thing. Anytime a child comes up missing and the mother is the mother of that child, even if she's guilty, she has to show some type of emotion. She don't have no choice. She doesn't have a choice, because once again, to not show emotion as a mother and grieve as a mother is to go to jail as a guilty mother. You can't be naive to these type of things and think, well, she was crying so she couldn't have been guilty. It's all type of people that get on TV that get the crying over the fact, trying to portray that they're not guilty to deflect the attention away from them. That's what I'm trying to say. You can get up there, be guilty of killing somebody, fake cry, and what you're doing is you're trying to deflect the attention away from you so that the public don't focus on you. The public starts to focus all elsewhere along with the police instead of focusing on the very individual who have committed the crime. That's the point of expressing emotion, is what I'm saying. Never be naive. The best way to get away with a crime is to show that you care and act like you care, right? It is. The best way to show that you care about something is to get in mass media and show that you care on the very day that somebody goes missing. It shows the public you care. But if you're a guilty individual, as in if you killed that person, that also shows the public you care as well. And what the public will do, they'll look at you and start to care for you so much as a crying, sobbing mother that they'll look right past you. They'll bypass you. That'll let their eyes bypass you of you crying despite you being guilty. Because see, if I stand to see somebody guilty, that's like standing in front of a moving target. Listen to me when I say that. There's been all type of individuals, once again, who were actually in fact guilty of killing somebody, and yet they stood right there in front of the public face sobbing to portray in a way to make them appear innocent, to portray themselves as a moving target. To move away from something is to be completely unseen. To stand on national TV and cry about something, and yet you could possibly be guilty of murdering your own child. Any of these people, not just her. I'm just mentioning her as an example. I'm not saying truly that she's guilty. But to stand up there and say you killed somebody, and yet you get on TV and you cry, and you fake cry, as in sobbing, full-blown tears and pleading in public, is to be a moving target in the area of you blending in with national society. You're blending in with everybody else enough to not be seen in the very actions that you have been actually did. You feel what I'm saying? See, guilty people who kill people and then get on TV fake crying, those are in fact moving targets. And yet people don't know this. They let this very thing bypass their eyes because they're too naive to see. To be a moving target, say a father or mother killed their child and they get on TV speaking out, crying. You're moving and blending in and out with regular society of America so nobody sees that you committed the crime. You're a moving target because people can't really see if you actually did it because you're fake crying on national TV. And so to be a moving target is for people to look at you and question you, but they can't really tell if you did it because you're showing such a face of pity that you're in grief and sadness. But not only that, they're also looking outside of you at various people which surround you and various people that went to that child's school. They're looking at all this, the public, I'm saying. So that is what make the parents, in a sense, and even the brother, a moving target if they are guilty in any of this. So you can be a complete moving target by just blending in and out. Yes, you can. People don't understand the sciences of psychology, and yet I know and understand it all. To be a murderer and be a moving target is just a step in and out of. It's a step in and out of the door when you choose. That's why I would check into that father and even him being a moving target. You get what I'm saying? Because I know and understand that men work at night, but still to be stepping foot in and out of the house in the middle of the night, and even to be going to check on that little girl in the middle of the night sounds kind of crooked if you ask me. That sounds like a crooked piece, as in a crooked link. Like as in, why is he there? Checking the bedroom of a child that many times. See, usually a parent check on a child and they check on them one time. They don't check on them multiple times within a night. So, a moving target. People move. See, you can look into this whole deeper target metaphor, as I like to say. You can check into that much more deeper and analyze it as I'm speaking on this, because moving targets exist all around us. And that's the very thing that put me at fear, is to know a moving target is someone who is they're portraying themselves other than what they actually are. And when I say that, I mean there are in fact murderers out here amongst us in society, America, and yet we don't even know they're there. They could be standing next to us at the grocery store, and yet we don't even know. That type of thing just flips me out. It makes me terrified. That's a moving target. Because whoever it was put on the front and the face, as in they killed somebody and they walked away. And yet when you're in a store, when you're in Walmart, those type of people are around you. Even pedophiles who have been registered with the state, those type of people, you don't even know it. Unless, say, you've seen their face before in the news, or if they're registered or something like that, or they live down the block from you and yet they register because supposedly they got to register their address every 90 days. I looked this information up. That's a moving target. It's a poker face. It's as if, like how I got these shades on, see my face, my eyes. I wear my glasses because my eyes always be tired. But a moving target, just they move along with you. But you don't even know that they there. I remember my mom was in Walmart one day and she got completely, the woman wanted to freak out. I was in a whole different part of the store. I was right up front, waiting at the greeter, waiting for her to come. And my mom literally came running almost out of the store because some man, white gentleman, was staring her up and down, but not in a type of friendly type of way. She said she was standing next to this man and something told her to get away. And not only that, as her intuition was screaming for her to get away from this man, the intuition was screaming to her loud to get away. Not only was her intuition screaming that, but the man was following my mom through the store. To the fact that she ran past me, flew out the door, got in the car and said, let's go. And then she looking all around and she was like, I don't know, something about him is not right. That was God, universe, whoever telling her that. Those type of individuals are in fact they're in fact moving targets. That man, whoever stood amongst my man, whoever stood amongst my mama, that man was probably a moving target in the area. He might be a killer himself. Who knows? Because my mom felt it. My mom's intuition is strong. Okay. She has actually saved the lives of babies in the area of babies needing surgery to cut their gut open to survive. My mom has very strong intuition and she's never wrong in any of it. She's never wrong in any of it. Kids was being molested and my mom knew and sensed and understood to walk in that situation, stop it, calm it down and move on. So a murderer could be standing or living next door to you and you not know he's a moving target because he says hello, good morning, good afternoon, and yet when everybody goes to sleep, he's stepping out at night, killing and murdering and trampling on young children's face as in putting them in the ground and nobody knows about it. That type of stuff, I don't like that type of stuff. It freaks me out. But once again, I have no choice but to make a video about it because to live in a society where that type of stuff is going on, it's to say you never know somebody in your family that can happen to. So you got to bring awareness to try to slow it down, as in halt the train. Stay in your lane where you're supposed to, but speak up at times when you know you're supposed to. So going back to the family, I think this mother knows what has went on. The mother had to know what was going on. Because to be the head of a household is to know everything that's going on in that house, even things which are hidden. Yes, it is. Because remember, a mother washes clothes. Usually fathers don't take the time to do that type of work. Men don't usually do household work unless they're single. And they don't have a woman in reach, in sight, sharing a household with them enough to do clothes or house chores. Men usually focus on outside activities such as cutting the front and back lawn. They focus on repairing the car. They focus on wood shop type of work, as in fixing stuff around the house, manly repair type of work. And yet women wash clothes. They wash dishes. They take care of the children. They come home from a long day at the factory, still come home and have enough energy to cook dinner, put food on the table for her husband, clothes on the back, as well as sit down in front of a washing machine like being at the laundromat and wash clothes. Something about that is not right. I always go back to that bed squeaking. I always go back to that bed squeaking, that father going in and out at night, even that night that he went out to go get that gift, as well as Asia Degree leaving out during that night at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, leaving out at even that time. Even with that book bag being found the way it is, I'm going to speak on that again, the motive. There was in fact a motive behind that book bag. It had to be. There's a motive behind everything that's done. Even this murder itself, if it's a murder. I'm thinking it's a murder. So I go back to that bed squeaking. Why was her bed squeaking? And not only that, we know women, mothers do household chores such as washing clothes. It makes you wonder still, was that young girl being molested? by her father. A grown man take it upon his time to creep into her bedroom at night while her brother lay off to the side hearing everything that's going on. And yet her mother, I'm saying there's multiple things to this. It could be lovers, cheaters that had what's going on the side. Lovers, cheaters. That's one part of the story that you can think of. Was either the mother, father cheating on each other, or was once again the father stepping into that little girl's room at night, making love to her like she was a grown woman. As in molestation and molestation type of charges, right? That type of stuff. See, for a grown man to step in a young child's bedroom is to know he's going to ejaculate in the process. That's the point of him going into a young child's bedroom in the first place, in relation to getting in a bed with a young child as if she's a grown woman. The point of that is for the man to ejaculate and not just to lay there. That will make you question, with that, was he sneaking into the bedroom? Could have that mother one day washed her clothes, as in washed the linen, as in the bedding, and found, say, sperm on the actual bedding, I'm saying. Say if the young girl was being molested and her mom knew about it, or maybe not have known about it until that day, or say when she might have. I'm saying might have. I'm going through clues of questioning that inside of that house. To put pieces together is to know, as in to find out, as in scoping further. Could have that mother, that father been molesting that young girl? Could have that father been molesting that young girl, and say the mother one day went to wash clothes, poured a detergent in, and say found a stain of like sperm or something in the washing machine on the sheets of her daughter, the sheets that go on the bed of her child, and stood and questioned that, because even a grown up such as a mother would know what sperm is. Remember, she's sleeping with her husband. She would know the actual detail, as in the vile detail of something like that, as in sperm ejaculation on some bed sheets. I question that. You got to look inside the house. Keep looking inside the house. Something was going on in the house. It had to be. Did the mother find anything? Could the mother have even found, say, night sheets, or what is it? The sheets spread that you, not the sheets that go on the bed as I spoke of, but said like a sheet that you pull over yourself, or even a blanket, or even a child's night clothes that they lay in. Could the mother have actually in fact found sperm on that from the young child's father? Sperm or ejaculation on the actual outfit, pajamas that the child wore to sleep at night? Could the mother actually have found that? Because see, I question this stuff, and I have to. I don't have a choice. Because see, to be living in the house is to not live with just one person in the house. It's multiple individuals within that household. And so you got to look into that picture of scope, and there's two only individuals who could in fact ejaculate sperm, as in be a sperm donor without laying eggs. And the only two individuals who are able to do that is the father as well as the son. And yet I don't think the son will be old enough to actually ejaculate on some sheets, who knows, or even on the girl's pajamas. But this sort of thing has to be questioned, because it could also lead to a case being solved as well, right? Something was going on. See, all this detail keeps pointing back to late at night. To leave and escape, supposedly run away at night, as well as your father working late at night, coming in late at night, and then want to leave back out for a gift late at night. As well as for the father to hear, as well as the brother to hear that there was squeaking from a bed The brother heard the sister squeaking at night in the bed, as well as the father supposedly heard it on the other side of the door, and yet everything keeps pointing back at night. Something about the at night detail don't add up. That's what I'm trying to say. Something is out of place, or completely has been put out of place in relation to this story, and it all has something to do with the night instead of the daytime. The focus is completely always at night, and I'm not saying the focus in the national news. Just when you look at this whole thing for what it is, the whole aura about the story, it just it's within the night. It's not daytime in it. There seems to be no daily detail of anything. You pull from each piece. The brother said, I heard the squeaking. Okay, that was at night. Supposedly the girl was jumping on the bed. Supposedly she left in the middle of the night. Supposedly the father works in the middle of the night or at night, and then chose to take it upon himself to just leave out in the middle of the night to get his wife some gifts for Valentine's or anniversary or whatever. Something is not right about the night. There's something about that night. There's something not right. There's something completely off about the night. There's no daytime detail with any of this story anywhere. I mean, don't usually people, I mean, I know they told stories about her being at school and playing a basketball and all this other stuff, but it seems like the most important details fall and revolve around the nighttime. Something is not right. It don't add up. That's what I'm trying to say. We all know that it don't add up, but that nighttime, somebody was creeping around in the night. That's what I'm trying to say. Somebody was creeping around with this little girl in the middle of the night, and probably doing inappropriate things with her in the middle of the night. They had to be. Because to be put in a position, I'm saying whoever did this, or the crime, or whatever plays out with this, is to add bits and pieces. It's like it's a string, like you're being strung along, right? To something that you know is there, as in stands in the wait on the other side. It awaits you on the other side as in the answer, but yet you just can't see it, right? But something is completely off, because for them to tell details about her day to day and all that, okay, that's daytime. But to have a whole crime, right, and everything's details is all playing out, not even her missing or not even her murder, and yet the more important details is set inside of the nighttime, is to show that in itself where the killer or whoever that took her, abductor, killer, whatever, one and the same to me. They're still criminals. Is to show you they must have been on the four walls of that house. Yeah. Because see, a young child is, yes, guided to go down the street, right? Especially in the middle of the night. If she supposedly ran away, that's what they want to say, is that she supposedly ran away. But who's to say that that was even her? As in her face, seeing you and greeting you, those passing cars. That could have been anybody. But the mother, I just always stand in question of the mother. I stand in question of that mother. Because once again, it's something she knows in which she's not telling. Even the brother. The mother and the brother know much more information than anybody, because see, they lived in the four walls of that house, and yet there's information even those two people are not telling. They're not telling. And I think that brother knew much more, so probably more than anybody. See, because to share a room with your sister and hear squeaking of the bed the way that he said is to know who was in that bedroom at night. And not only that, with the brother hearing the squeaking of the bed, because see, kids, if they're in the dark and there's no nightlight, the kids will take it upon themselves to listen. What type of common sense individual is going to sleep in the room next to another person and not listen to the very activity of another child who is your sister in another bed? Listen to that activity as it's going on, as in hearing it in earshot. If it's sexual activity, deviant sexual activity between a man and a young child, or whoever and a young child, you know what I'm saying? Because for the young boy to say that he heard squeaking of the bed is to say something in itself, that right there was not right. And yet to once again be in that room is to pay attention. Because children pay attention to everything. They hear and know everything, and yet they might not never speak on it. But he spoke on that bed. So what in fact did he actually see and hear while he was laid up in there at night? Because see, that type of activity just doesn't go one time, as in the squeaking of the bed. It goes on a lot of times, multiple times, in the area of somebody molesting somebody. And somebody knowing and somebody being found out. You just don't squeak a bed just to squeak a bed. Supposedly the young girl's bed was a squeaker from the very beginning, and yet still, why would you be squeaking in the middle of the night if you're not doing anything? Ain't no little girl or ain't even no teenager just gonna be just squeaking, squeak, 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 and her brother just like, okay, squeaking what's going on at night. There was more activity going on in that bed than many of them is even actually saying. Which is probably the hidden part within the story, as in the key. That's one of the missing links, I believe. And still, I still don't think there was no abductor involved as much as they say. I don't think that. I really don't think that. See, to go within somebody's house is to start questioning all type of things, as in the detail. There was something probably going on, and the mother could in fact have been involved on it. You don't know, as even in the area of the murder of her own child. Nobody can know, nobody can say, and yet in fact her involvement was there. It had to be. She lived there. To have a child just completely either walk out your house or come missing out of your house is to know there's involvement with you even there. Because remember, you stay there. You're the owner of the house, the housekeeper. And you know what goes on all within that house. You sometimes even know and find out, say, if somebody on the outside of the house is trying to mess with your own children. Yes, you do, because sometimes children can't keep stuff like that a secret. Unless they've been threatened with death or something. So, that's completely off the hook. It's horrid if you ask me. Like, the reason why I had questioned the mom again, because when I spoke of the ejaculation, let's say if the mother didn't know that activity was going on, as in the father possibly could have been sleeping with his own child. That's enough to make a mother distraught, right? In the area of finding out that her husband will want to do something like that to their only daughter, girl. I believe she was the only girl. I think they just had a son and daughter. I don't want to twist the story up and mess it up, but that's a distraught enough for a mother to even experience, to find out that her husband could have been sleeping with her child. But not only that, that's enough to make a mother possibly get jealous. If a mother knew that type of thing was going on, that's enough to make a mother get jealous of that very child. If a father and a daughter are sleeping together, and yet the father took it upon himself to actually do that very thing of placing himself on top of the daughter, even without the daughter's consent, that's enough to make the mother jealous. Because see, what that'll do is make the mother believe that the father look at his child, his daughter, as his young lover more so than looking at his own wife, the child's mother. Because see, sometimes with these molestations that go in the four walls of these homes, sometimes these fathers allow their daughter, as in force an image on their daughter, to have their daughter play the role of, say, a young girlfriend. I know it sounds sick. It's incest in itself, an area of molestation as well. To play sweetheart and all that other type of friendly touch and all that stuff between daughter and father, but the father started it. You got some fathers that lure and draw their daughters into that type of activity to make the daughter believe that I love you and you're my girlfriend, and we're boyfriend and girlfriend despite us being father and daughter. And so if a mother is to know about that type of activity, is to once again bring jealousy in the area of no amends, as in not making up with one another, say even in a fight, and that type of thing being brought up of a mother being jealous of her child, that her child is sleeping with her husband. That stuff, it goes on. Trust me and believe when I say this, the news stories that you hear sometimes be off the hook crazy. That's enough to make you have a panic attack, is what I'm trying to say, just thinking about it. There's fathers out here sleeping with their daughters, making their daughters believe that very thing is real and that it's lovable. And they put more emphasis into, say, treating that daughter like she's a wife or whatever, more so than his own wife. And a wife will get jealous of that and possibly kill the child. Trust me, that type of stuff, it does go on. It has to, because some of the news stories you see is beyond the point. So would a mother, in fact, kill her own child if something like, say, do you think a mother would, in fact, that's not saying this mother, but do any mother, do you think a mother would have known about the father sleeping with the daughter, and then one day the mother get jealous of the child and then put that child to rest, as in not to sleep, but just kill her and have her buried? It's a question. That's a question, because see, even in a young girl being buried, they tried to say that more than likely the person that buried her had to be very good in the area of knowing and understanding wooded area, because the way that her book bag and stuff was planted underground, right? So if a person is good at that type of thing, it goes back in the question of the motive of the book bag and who could have actually did that, as in planting that book bag. More people could have been involved in that. See, the father could have killed the daughter. The mother could have killed the daughter. And on top of the mother could have killed the daughter, maybe a close family friend or family member, uncle, whoever, that they got involved in this situation could have in fact been the one that had actually buried the book bag. I'm saying, think about it. You got people that do stuff like that. They get their family or friend, whoever involved, to go carry out something like that of burying a book bag. So the motive stands in the book bag. Why is in fact the book bag planted and hidden in the way that it is? See, I looked it up again. The book bag in fact was hidden, buried underground and not in the shed. See, we got to get the story right. We got to get the story right. I said that in the video about the book bag somehow being found in the shed, as well as the book bag somehow being found under the dirt. The story has to be portrayed right, because in order to portray something right is for people to be brought home, even if it's in a body bag or something like that. To mess up in the story is to mess up everything, the whole case. And so when I looked it back up, I Googled it a little bit ago about the bag being found. Her book bag being found underground by a guy that had actually owned the land of where it was, a contractor, how he was digging. He was the one that found the bag. So that bag was planted there to be found. And yet by who? See, by who? There's a motive behind that, because see, you just don't murder. Let me get this right. If she's even murdered, she might be still alive, who knows, but I think she's dead. You don't just plant you don't just plant a book bag without it being a motive behind that. See, I think that was some angerness or some bitterness behind that bag even planted like that. Somebody could have been completely angry and took it upon themselves to kill not just her, but as well as plant that bag. Got to scope deeper into the motive of this type of stuff. I feel there was anger involved about something, but about what? Because to help a child walk away from an environment, right, in the area of even being killed, she might have not even walked away from that house. Somebody might once again have killed her in the house and dragged her out, right? As in putting her in the car and taking her body somewhere to a landfill or something, right? But that bag, it screams death all over it in the area of there was a motive behind that. That motive, there is a motive behind that bag. Because see, you can play a game of child's play or tit for tat, or a game like tag, like aha, I got you type of stuff, right? But that type of game is either played with people that got mental illness, like say a Jack the Ripper that's completely walking around and they just kill kids just to kill them, right? That's like a game of tag. This is almost like a game. That's what I'm saying, like a head game type of game. For a bag to be planted like that and for it to want to be found is to know that somebody was playing a game in that, in a sense. To come find me, which is the bag which I've been planted by such and such. And there's a reason why. To play a game is to be a two-way street. And yet one individual is involved, and yet somewhere many individuals are involved, and not just one. I'm saying outside of, say, a killer. A tit for tat. A throwing back and forth. And somebody being angry and bitter about something enough to kill somebody and bury their body along with the bag is what I'm saying. As in the motive of not being found ever. That's what I keep sensing. Because see, a Jack the Ripper type of killer, what he'll do is he'll play mind games on some random family and just take their daughter because he finds that type of stuff fun. I don't think it's funny or fun to take somebody's child like that. To take somebody's child and just walk away and maybe kill them, put them in a ditch somewhere, that's not funny and fun. And yet a Jack the Ripper will take a young child like that and in his mind play a game with some random family and lead them to suffer off. And then he go on about his business and watch the news stories like it's nothing. Like he's just eating brunch for the day and that's it. That type of thing will be funny to him. And yet there will be no angerness and bitterness to be found. But leaving the bag like that will be his own game with himself, in a sense. Because see, the family don't really take that type of thing as a game. That's what I'm trying to say. And yet, to leave a bag like that, say if somebody in the family killed her, like the father or the mother, or somebody outside, another outside parent that's close to the family, even relatives, is to know that there was a game, in fact, going on. It was a game, and it's still a game today going on that outsiders don't know of. That's all I'm saying. It's a game, see, that could, because it speaks high volume of motivation behind it with the bag all over again. There was some type of game going on. I don't know if it was a love game. I don't know if it was molestation. Because see, to post a bag somewhere that you want it to be found is to know that there's motivation behind that, as in the motive. I could have wanted to be angry enough to post that bag right there in the ground like that for it to be found, but why was I mad? Why was I mad? What was the motivation for even that, for me wanting to, besides killing somebody and posting their bag wherever you post it for it to be found? But what was the motivation behind the emotion of even killing the girl in the first place if she's dead? What was the motivation behind killing her in the first place and even planting that bag in the first place? Could it have been anger and bitterness to get back at somebody? The tit for tat, as in the arguing back and forth. Gotta look deeper into this type of stuff. Motivation. See, a anger-filled type of motivation, that somebody having a meltdown in full-blown anger, as in a fit of rage, psychologically, right, is to do anything and put other people in harm's way in the process. That's why I'm asking this question. What was the intention and the motivation of, say, possibly killing that little girl, she's dead, as what was the motivation of even placing that bag like that? Because to have a motive like that, once again, I'm going in circles, but you got to solve it, as in finding the key. What was the motivation of getting back at an individual? See, I keep sensing the little girl, if she's dead in her bag, I keep sensing that there was motivation in that to get back at somebody. Could it have been a lover? Could it have been a lover? Let me think about it. Could the motivation have been a lover? Could the lover have been the father and the daughter? Not the little girl being in love with the father, but the father treating her like she a lover. And yet the mother killing the daughter in the process because of being angry about that and bitter about that. See, all this is motivated. All this whole crime, whatever, is motivated by something. It's been driven in a sting by something. So in order for it to be driven is to plow through it head on, as in a head-on collision, and understanding to read through the actual story. To fit the joints together. You know, joint the joint, like Prince used to say when he was alive. What motivated it? If she's dead, what motivated her death? As what motivated that bag being planted? I want to know. What was the motivation? I go back, rewind back to lover, right? Let's say a lover played a part in this. Say like a mistress. What if the father was in fact creeping out at night? Which is how he was able to creep around despite him saying he worked at night. What if the father was in fact creeping around at night with some other woman outside of the house, which was in fact his lover or mistress, right? Which in fact, to be creeping around at night is to be able to also check on your kids at night. To be up late at night is to be able to give access to do anything, even to leave up out of your own house or where you live to sleep with another individual. Right? So what if the father was creeping out at night with some young chick who could have in fact been his mistress living down the street or somewhere? You know what I'm saying? And say the child knew about it. Right? The father having a lover. This has never been said. I'm just thinking about it, pondering it. The father got a lover. He creeps out at night to go be involved and say sleep in bed with this lover. Right? And his young child knows about it. Because that type of thing go on, I said at the beginning of the video. The little girl somehow found out that the father has a lover or a mistress or whatever. And so to keep her mouth closed is to get rid of her. Like drive her off the face of the earth. So it can never be told to the child's mother. And yet, that type of thing, it does happen, because in my family, that type of thing, not a murder, but my niece had knew that her mother's boyfriend was in fact cheating on her mother, even in her mother's bed while the mother was at work. Yes, that thing happened in my family. And so I'm saying this type of stuff go on. It's a possibility. Because to get rid of somebody is a motivation behind that. It's a motive behind it. And sometimes it's a motive in getting back at other people as well. Right? So if the father, it's a motive at getting back other people as well. So if the father had a lover, and say the motive was to get back at somebody, right? Let me think back. To think deeply is to go very deeply. If the father had a lover and that book bag was planted as a motive and the little girl was killed, right? What would the motive be? Father's got a lover. The motive will be, once again, but still that part still don't add up. That's a loose end right there. That's a mess up on my end. That's a loose end, because if it was a motive for the father to kill the little girl because she knew that her father was cheating with another woman on her mother, that serves no point in even the book bag being planted, because he would just kill her to keep her mouth closed. He wouldn't plant the book bag in order for it to be discovered. So you got to scratch that. So you got to go look on the other end of the mother side. Once again, could the mother, wait a minute, let me think back. Oh, my stomach is hungry, it's growling, and I got a salad right here. Could the mother and the father have been in fights with one another, and yet the child have witnessed it? Could it even have violent activity going on within that home, and that child had witnessed it, right? Could the father or even the mother have killed the child to get back at the other parent? I'm saying that in anger and bitterness. If I am a mother and I am a father and I have petty fights, which can blow up to bigger fights, and the children are watching this, and yet my child is the closest thing to me, the very thing that I rever and I love and I hold tight to and I cling to, in the area it would hurt me so to lose them. And yet the other parent knows and understands this. Sometimes it's to be killed by the other opposite parent to get back at that parent, that one parent that you completely is with but dislike. People do this type of thing. Yes, they do. Something like that could happen where a parent got into it with another parent. They know that parent completely loved that child. Saying the opposite parent know that one parent loved that one complete child to death, that if something happened, they don't know what they would do with themselves. And yet this violent individual take it upon himself or herself to put the child to death, to hurt that other parent, not speak on it, and then plant a book bag somewhere for it to be found. And then that will be to get back at the parent. That other parent, I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? Something don't add up with that, even in that family. Somebody somewhere was mad or agitated in this whole affair, I'm thinking. They had to be. Because to plant something is once again to say, ah, ha, 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 look what I did. That's what it speaks of. That's the volume that it speaks of. And even that book bag being planted speaks of that. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Guess what I did? I'm getting back at you. That's what you, yeah, that's what it speaks of. That's what you get from me. For you doing such and such, I did this. That's what it speaks of. Her bag, her book bag. And even her death if she's dead. It speaks of, I'm going to get back at you. I'm going to get back at you for the very thing that you have actually done to me. That's what that book bag says loudly. I'm going to get back at you for the very thing that you have done to me. Has anybody ever scoped this out? As in what I'm saying? As I'm sitting here, this is a free flow thinking activity. None of this is actually scripted. And for me, none of this has actually been studied enough to know. I'm guessing as well as second guessing. I'm saying I'm thinking as I go on the fly. That little girl's bag has that written all over it. That little girl's bag has guilt written all over it. As in the area of somebody is probably sitting at home, fueled in guilt over the simple fact of what they done, and yet they probably could never tell it to the world. Because to tell it is to go to jail. And yet written all over her bag is saying, I committed the crime. As in, I will soon enough be locked away, as if it's ever found out. That's what that bag spills out. The flesh, I'm saying the stench and all that comes along with death activity and all that, speaks all over that bag. It's like a dirty rag. It speaks all over that bag. Aha, come get me. Aha, come get me. And yet to go find and look for a little girl like that is to know that she probably dead somewhere underground, near 6 feet. But why does that bag spill that so loudly? That is gruesome. Even me thinking about it sitting here is completely gruesome. It's profane is what it is. It's sick. Makes me sick to the gut. The bag is saying, ah, ha, 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 come get me. And it's pointing at somebody as it's pointing fingers at somebody over something that individual probably have done in the middle of the night. And yet, but who? You got what I'm saying? Ah, ha, 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 come get me over something you have done in the middle of the night. Like that person want to be found, like discovered, but then again don't want to be discovered. That's why I said it's a game. All this criminal activity like that is a game, period. That type of stuff is a game. That type of stuff I don't like. See, I like head games in the area of solving stuff in relation to just plainly solving stuff and even marketing detail like that. But I don't like playing head games with no murder. That type of stuff I step away from. You don't never know. It terrifies me. It does. It reminds me of something of like Silence of the Lambs. And yet whoever committed this crime, what's this? Flatbread. Flatbread cranberry walnut salad. Never had it before. I love feta cheese though. But to commit this crime, to commit any crime and say, ah ha 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 ha, come find me. I don't like stuff like that. That's a sickly game is what it is. And I would hate, say if, for example, if it was the husband, not trying to blame or bash anybody, but say if it was a father, I would completely hate to be in a bed at night with an individual like that, knowing they did something like that. That would completely turn me off. If not, it might actually send me to my grave ahead of time. I'm saying if it was presented on the news that the father, in fact, murdered his child and did all that, or whatever happened with this young girl, that type of stuff, if you was to find out you was sleeping next to a man that did something like that, that could actually send you to your grave. Mothers have actually died young in that type of activity. Or say if the mother killed the child and yet the father didn't really know or understand whatever happened with the whole thing, right? Say whatever happened, a getting back tit for tat fight, and you're sleeping with somebody, say the father sleeping with the mother and she did that, it's enough still for a man, a grown man, to not be able to endure that heart-wise, for his heart to just give out, have a stroke, and just fall dead right there on the spot, because that's highly gruesome. It's inhumane. That sauce is on point. Raspberry vinaigrette. Vinaigrette? Like vinegar? Vinaigrette? Yeah, that type of thing. Can't pronounce it. Whatever. So, dear motivation, as a motive, as a cause, to get down to the bottom is to get down to the root, as in what is all in between. In this, like I said before, people fight every day of the week, all across the nation and even across the globe. Parents have fights in their home, and yet it's completely unspoken of. Why would it be spoken of? It's not on the outside of the house. That type of stuff you leave within the four walls of your house. So I'm just under investigation of what all has the police done in the area of investigating the inner walls of that house. See, there could be some things as in the leads, as in what the police know, and yet they're not saying. I'm saying in relation to the family. Police don't release everything, like as every detail to the public. They can't do that until something is solved. They'll release bits and pieces, but they can't really go about releasing full big chunks of information at once, because to do that type of thing is to help somebody get away, as in a getaway car. That's why the police, when people get angry or bitter why the police held certain information tight close without putting it out, that's why they do that, because to tell too much information is enough for somebody to get packing and leaving, even outside of the country, as in getting on a flight on a 280 and just leaving outside of the country for good, going over to the Middle East or somewhere like that, completely disappearing. That's why they don't let out everything, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't, because see, a person could do like that. The police can let out too much information. The person disappear, as in get on a jet or even a private jet for somebody they know, somebody that owns something, a jet, and skip town and go overseas. They might live over there for a few years and then come back to America 5, 6, 10 years from now, right? Done change their whole identity, look, everything. Because see, humans, anyways, many of us look like other people. I've been told I look like 5 or 6 different other people, right? So people do come back to America, and then you're standing in the grocery store next to a mass murderer, killer, or whoever, and don't know. So it's good that the police keep certain things like this confidential. Yes, it is. It helps them maximize in finding out what is what. This salad is a bomb. Wish I can give you some. So, that sort of thing is crazy. It leaves you standing in amazement is what I'm trying to say. It does. This whole setup of this crime, the whole thing was orchestrated from the very beginning. You can see all the whole scope of the whole picture of this story. The Asia Degree story. The whole thing has been staged, orchestrated, and operated and handled from the very beginning, I believe, by somebody within that home. How many times have I repeated? I should start counting how many times I repeated. But I think I'm going to end this video out. You know, the motivation is where we stand. The motive is where we stand. Who was in fact angry and bitter? I'm repeating once again. Who was angry and bitter? And not only that, who could in fact have been angry and bitter within that family? Who was angry and bitter? Who was angry and bitter in the family? Why would they be angry and bitter in the family? As in, what was the point of them being angry and bitter in the family? And what point and position would Asia Degree actually play in them being angry? As in, what part of her would actually fuel the anger? Because see, even to kill somebody sometimes in a volatile manner sometimes is to present anger even before that. Even in the child sometimes making you angry enough to want to kill them or get rid of them. It is. Because you know how kids can be sometimes, even with their mouth, and yet still it's not enough to want to murder somebody or get rid of them or just make them go missing. So what part did Asia Degree play? And even in that, I'm saying, like her own demise or coming up missing or being abducted as they said. What part would she have played even in that? Because to be a girl as docile as they said, she was very soft-spoken. She was somewhat shy. She was shy. She feared dogs. She feared tornado type of activity. Not really tornado, but strong wind, thunderstorms. She feared all this type of stuff. So if the girl has such a mild manner, why would she even be killed from the beginning? I'm saying, what's the intention of killing somebody that is very soft individual and a very soft-spoken individual? Why would you want to take it upon yourself to kill somebody like that? That don't add up. Why would I be a grown man or even a woman, and yet I think a man is to play at this? Why would I be a grown man, even if her mother was involved with it? I think it still had probably a man that still knew about it in the whole picture. See, to not see all sides of what it is to never know. So, as in considering, why would you or I want to take a younger girl from her house, as in helping her to end up missing and possibly killed? Why would I want to do that to a young girl who is easily to manipulate and have me, let me see, and I have her follow me? I have her follow me. That means she's easily to be persuaded. She's easily to be manipulated. And not only that, she's so gentle. She's the type of girl that will probably take it upon herself that if she was threatened to never tell a secret, she would actually, in fact, keep that secret. But maybe she wouldn't. Who knows? All I know is when people get angry, they start saying stuff that they should never say in front of other people. So it make you question if she had even got to saying stuff that she should have never said. But still, that's still not enough to want to kill her or even make her go missing. And yet, once again, this whole thing to plant something is still to say that you knew the family personally. For me to take it upon myself, not an abductor, I mean, I know they do that type of things, but still for me to take a bag and purposely plant that bag so it can be found, is to say to the family, I know you. I'm against you. Come find me, and come find it, as in the bag. Come find the child, wherever she's laid out there in the field somewhere possibly. And I'm getting back at you for what it is you've done. And I want you to get back at me for the very thing I've done. That's what that whole thing keeps saying, that situation. And yet, to not have fingerprint, that's what it just seemed like. My gosh, that's what it seemed like is, I know you. I'm saying the killer, whoever the killer, if it's a killer, if she's dead and she's been killed, that's what that bag is saying. Oh my gosh. I know you. Come find me. Come find the bag. Come find her if you will and if you can. Come get back at me by locking me away. But and all of this, you can't do that because guess what? You're not going to even find out who I am, as in even locating me. Because to put a bag out this far in the middle of nowhere is to never be found, period, as in the killer. But my intention is to get back at you over something. Because see, to get back at somebody, period, is to know that individual very personally. It's to know them head and toe. It's to know the individual from head to toe. You don't just get back at somebody just to get back at them. I can't even see that father. I can't even really see one of his friends getting mad at him, throwing an argument in a hissy fit, and instead of punching him in the face, just going and killing his child. I can't see that. I can't even see the mother, one of her friends, doing that. Getting mad at the mother and just take the mother friend getting mad at the mother and then taking the child and killing the child off, or taking a child somewhere and say having them missing and burying a bag. I can't see a woman doing that type of activity. You know what I'm saying? I can't see that type of thing. That don't work around because see, it's too petty. If a man got mad at another man, say that girl's father, Asia Degree's dad, what that man will do is just stand arguing with that man and more likely never speak to him again. Or if the fight got to be too big, that other man will just shoot the father and not even mess with the kids. And if it's a mother and she got in a disagreement, say in a fight with another woman, what that mother will do is her and that young girl that she got in a fight with, they will probably just fist fight. And what a stupid petty woman would do when she get in a fight with another woman, she would just sleep with, say, somebody like Asia's mama, the very individual she got in a fight with. She wouldn't sleep with Asia's mama, she would sleep with Asia's father. So if a woman got in a fight with Asia's mama, that woman that got in a fight with Asia's mama, if she's bitter about something about the fight, that woman from outside will go sleep with Asia's father to get back at the mother. She's not going to kill people and plant stuff in the process. That's too much work for her to even think about. She'd rather get some good sex and allow him to have some good PUSSY in the process and make the mother mad. She would. She'll do something like that. The only way I can still see something like this and something being motivated as I'm getting back at you is to step outside as an outside lover. An outside lover. Say, for example, the mother was cheating on her husband, which was Asia's dad. If the mother took upon her time to cheat on Asia's father, which was in fact her husband, and she was cheating with a man that couldn't let go of her, because see, you got to be careful in even that. Stepping outside of the bedroom, cheating with people outside of the house as in a mistress or some male lover. You got to be careful with that, because even that can lead to stalking. It leads to stalking and temptation of never giving up, as in the time of when you're cheating and in the bed on the outside of you sleeping with your husband. I'm saying a woman. You can lead yourself in the arms of a stalker and not know that you even sleeping with a stalker, to the fact Asia's mother could have in fact been with some grown man she considered her lover, who probably had the ways of near mental illness in the area of stalking, as in never wanting to leave her alone, as in not letting go of her despite her being married to that man she considered her husband. A stalker would actually take upon himself to be motivated enough to kill a child like that. Yes, he would. Because see, a stalker knows to never let a lover go, even though she says, I'm walking out the door and I'm leaving, right? A stalker will know, I am never going to let you go. And if you try to leave me despite you having a husband and I'm just your boyfriend, your side piece on the side, if you tell me you're leaving me and yet I'm a stalker, I will kill somebody in your family. That's abuse in itself. It's abuse in itself. To tell a woman that she can't walk away, I'm saying her boyfriend, her side piece on the side, though she got her husband at home. For a stalker to tell a woman that, and yet he's not her husband and she's not his wife, it's a threaten her with death, as in the very movement of dying, possibly even right there in the spot. Many men that stalk even actually threaten women right there. Not only do they threaten a woman right there, they get to threatening the lives in the house, such as her husband and her kids. That could be motivation in itself. See, because if a man and a stalker and he want to get back after he told her you're never leaving me, and say that type of thing kept going on and him telling her you're not leaving me, it's for him to take it upon his own bare hands and snap a child by the neck, as in breaking her neck, as in watching it fall off and roll down the block somewhere. As gruesome as it sounds, a grown man will do that type of stuff to get back at the very lover he don't want to let go of. And then what he'll do is he'll take a bag and plant it somewhere where he feel that it could be found. Or he'll plant it somewhere where he ain't even thinking it's going to be found. So you got so many different ways to go with this. A stalker like that will try to plant something and think it will never be found, and ta-da, it done been found. And now he's standing there looking stupid, but he can never say once again that he murdered that child out of angerness and bitterness to get back at that mother because she wanted to leave him and yet he wasn't her husband. See, a married woman to step outside is to go back home to her husband where her husband needs her. And yet, to be told that she has to go home to her kids and all that other stuff is once again is to never let go, as in a stalker material, a man. He would come along and do killer activity in that, because he already told her, look, you're not leaving me ever. If she disobeyed that, as in the law of what he said, that you're not leaving, he would kill one of her kids, if not her husband. But there was even motivation in even a little girl being killed, like she got killed. Why would she be killed by even a lover outside the house? Why would the little girl be killed? She will be killed because of a stalker. I said that, but and yet If a man did something like that, say a lover on the side, why wouldn't he have killed, say, a little boy? Say a little boy. All these type of things make you just question that house, man. It really does. It makes you question that house. Because sometimes you can see lovers as in a tit for tat. Here's the bag, come get me, get at me about this bag, and trying to put me in jail type of stuff. You can see that, but you can also see more when you start to dive deeper than even that. Of the father. If the father had a lover, I did that part already. That part really didn't add up, and yet the mother side could add up more so with the lover. It could. Because I can't really see a woman. I can't see a woman outside of the house, say a young lover of the husband, of the father, Asia. I can't see a woman being a lover to that man and that woman being a stalker and threatening the father, the husband. I'm saying, Asia's dad. Can't see a woman threatening him that she's going to kill his daughter if she leaves him. I can't see that. I can't see a lover of the husband threatening him that she's going to kill the daughter of his if she leaves him. I can't see that. Because I can't really see a woman putting all that. I mean, women can think like that. Yes, they can. They're highly calculated at that type of stuff. And yet, no woman really would want to get involved with that unless she's really psychologically damaged. You know what I'm saying? That part, I just can't see that. Because this whole situation got man written all over it. And more so woman written all over it. And yet not an outside woman in the house. I can look more so at the mother than I can at a woman outside the house. And I can look at a man inside of the house, more so the father, more so than outside the house. As in these two individuals being involved in this little girl's death some type of way. Leading her away from the house even, as it's been said. Supposedly she left the house. I don't think so. That is off the hook. That's like a whack upside the head, really. You never know, that could have happened. A whack upside the head. With a hammer. People do all type of stuff. That type is so... It's traumatizing to think about it. It's sad. See, I could never work in a morgue. I could never work in a morgue for that simple fact of the trauma that many people that work in the morgue do, and what they do to help disguise that very thing of activity, of the damage, of the bodily damage. Because see, with some of these crime cases, some people have in fact been whacked upside the head. You know what I'm saying? It makes you wonder if that little girl was in her bedroom, sitting on her bed or anywhere in that house, and maybe even got disrespectful with her mother, or even her father or whoever, and they whacked her upside the head and killed her on the spot. But see, that's still not that's still not going to add together, right? I feel she was knocked upside the head, as in her dying or her death. I feel she's dead. Yes, I do. I feel she probably was knocked upside the head with something, say some metal piece or something, or even a hammer or something crazy like that, which I don't even know what made me think like that, but it just came to my head quickly. Who knows? Intuition. So I can't even really see that happening as the little girl getting smart and then getting whacked upside the head, because once again, the book bag is the motive. I mean, the book bag plays in with part of the motive. So that's not going to completely do it unless, say, somebody whacked her upside the head to get back at the mother or the father. Somebody's ill intention from the very beginning was to get back at that mother or that father. Somebody did something within that house. And to get back is to get got. As in, what goes around comes around. To get back is to get got. Let's see, if the girl was say she was knocked upside the head with a metal piece, like a hammer, what would be the point? In the middle of the house, or in her bedroom, or wherever in the house? Because I keep sensing she died right in the house, and they just dragged her out, took her to the car, wherever, put her in the trunk probably, whatever, and drove off. Put her in a grave site somewhere that wasn't a grave site, just a field or something, or a marsh, whatever. What will be the motivation of whacking her upside the head even in the house? Why would somebody want to whack a young girl like that if she was so innocent, shy, and docile? Why would they want to whack her upside the house, in the house in which she was living? Could she have done something? Could the little girl have been in the house, or even outside of the house? Could she have done something in which one of her parents did agree with, and they didn't like it? And so they whacked her upside the head. That still doesn't add up either. Because to plant a bag, once again, is to show you're getting back at somebody. So that shows the little girl couldn't have done something as in bad behavior. Because why would I plant a bag just to show somebody else in the house? Say if I'm a parent and I killed my own child, why would I plant a bag to show that I'm getting back at somebody else in the house, unless the child, or unless another parent in the house have actually did something against me? I'm saying I'm not just going to be a parent, kill my own child for her bad behavior, and then plant a bag. That makes no sense. And then if I am a parent and I kill my own child and I plant a bag to get back at the other parent that's living in the house amongst us, what will be the reason behind that? What will be the reason behind that? What will be the reason behind me killing my own child, knowing she has another parent who's going to grieve over that dying child, right? What will be the point of me killing my child? Killing my child, moving her as in her body in a bag somewhere for both of them to possibly be found, so that bag can spell out to you, maybe that other parent, aha, this is what I did. What will be the reason for that? The only thing that I can once again see the reason for something like that is them having sex with each other, the daughter and the father. For a mother to get angry and be jealous and bitter in the fact that the father and the daughter are sleeping together, is to take it upon your hands and kill that very child to get rid of her. So that type of thing won't continue to go on. Right? Or, wait a minute, or hold on. Or from the beginning, maybe the father could have in fact been sleeping with the daughter because the mother could have been cheating from the beginning. So you gotta look at this at all angles. It might lead to confusion for many people trying to figure it out, but for some of us that stay centered and focused, see, I can move all around a room and detail with all like this and never get lost in the process. I never get lost. I stay right here in the center and just move around various locations at once, because my brain moved like this. That's why I like music like Beethoven and Bach and stuff like that, because so much it's like two things going on at once. That's how my brain moves. So I'm focused right in the center while I'm looking at this, at the simple fact of, going back to what I said, what if the father was molesting that child and did this crime and trying to get back at the mother, possibly because the mother was stepping outside, having a lover on the side. There's people that do that too. They know that in the house a spouse is committing some adulterous affair, and to get back at them is to not only sleep with the child, but to kill that very child. Sometimes even in their own bedroom. Stuff like that is crazy out here in the world. That's why I can't really be bothered. Because to know this type of stuff go on is to stay away from it. Yes, it does. A father can know that his wife is cheating on him. Let's flip it back to the mother. Hold on, let's flip it back to the mother. If you want to say mistress, see, anytime you say mistress, that means woman. Not bound by contract, as in a marriage contract, as in no obligations within that household. So if you want to say mistress, let's break it down for mistress. Say, hold on. Because see, if we look at from the mother angle and look at the father for what he could be or maybe not, say the mother was a good mother, and yet say the father was a child molester, as in molesting his own child and yet not other children, and maybe he was sneaking into the child's bedroom at night sleeping with her daughter, right? And maybe say that man, her father, the girl's Asia's father, had a mistress on the side as well. I'm saying from the mother's aspect of looking into this. Say that mother knew that her husband was sleeping with her own child, right? And not only that, the father, her husband, was also having a mistress on the side. That's enough to make a mother want to kill her very husband. But not only that, that's enough to make that mother want to kill her own child. For the simple fact is, this man ain't just sleeping with one person, he's sleeping with two. He's sleeping with a mistress as well as he's sleeping with his own daughter. And yet to be a mother, a woman, she don't have full access to that supply as in the mistress. The only access she has is to her child, which stands right underneath her household. You know what I'm saying? A mother that knows that there is a mistress is not going to take it upon her time to travel anywhere to go find that mistress in the city or state or town that she's living in to kill her. That's too much work. It's too much work, even in the cover-up. So she would rather go right within the means of her household and kill her child and let that whole issue be laid to rest, as in taking out the very thing in which he loved. Because see, to love somebody is to touch on them too much in the area of fondling them. Something that the mother totally don't agree with. It's vile in nature. That's completely vile in nature to molest a young girl like that. You know what I'm saying? But to be a mother and know that type of thing goes on is to never know the mother's mindset even in that. She could have been with it, as in knowing it was going on, and then just got tired one day and just got rid of the daughter to remove it out of the father's life, seeming he loved the daughter so much enough to molest her, right? Or she could have not known about it. And yet it was a reaction. Because see, some of these mothers will actually kill their own child, though they love them, but they get sickened about the fact that even their own daughter would allow their own father to molest and touch on them like that. Yes, mothers have been known to kill their children for even that. For the child not even speaking up, telling the mother that this is going on while keeping it a secret. Parents or mothers have even been known to blame their own child instead of blaming the father. There was in fact a movie by T.D. Jakes in which I spoke on Thou Art Loosed, about when this daughter of this mother was being molested by the mother's boyfriend. And the mother was a church woman, and the mother, when she found out, as in her daughter told the mother that, look, your boyfriend is not my daddy, but he's molesting me, the mother turned against the child instead of turning against that boyfriend. So mothers have been known to in fact harm their own children because some mothers are so in love with their husband they can't take the very fact of their child doing that. Instead of the mother taking responsibility for her own actions to take that up with her husband, instead she takes it up with her child by killing her child or disowning her child or putting her out the house. And so for a mother to get mad and bitter over the fact that this man might have had a mistress as well as sleeping with his own child, is for the mother to say, knock the child upside the head, kill her right on the spot, or something like that, drag her out the house, take her to the trunk of the car and get rid of her, as well as hide her bag. Enough to say, ah ha ha, that's my way and form of detail to let you know I'm getting back at you for what you have done to me, as in the pain. See, even cheating brings pain and agony, as well as retribution. Is that a word? Retribution? No, restitution, retribution. I need to Google that because I'll be coming up with these words. See, to cheat on somebody is pain in itself. Sometimes people don't get over that, being cheated on. And not only that, to be cheated on, to find out you cheated on, and then to find out that your husband could have in fact been sleeping with his own child is enough to drive some people crazy. It is enough for them to kill any and everybody in the house. Some people don't have the mental capability to handle all that type of information flowing in at once, that they just get rid of everybody in the house. That's how you have mass murders as well as the suicides that follow it. So, I can't get my internet up because I got something on here. Internet's slow. So, we still standing at the motive of why and how this could have been done. I had to test out my logical skills in the area of the household because it's completely unpronounced. And yet to be unpronounced is still to be loud in volume in an area where people ain't saying. And yet it all adds up that something's not right about that home. That's one of them type of environments you walk away from because it don't feel right. How intuition says, you know what, when you walk past that house, keep going because love don't live there anymore. Something is going on in that house. See, that husband and wife might actually be still together, and yet they might not even be interested in each other no more. Some people live like that, still married, not even really having sleeping together, not even really having sex together, and yet you're staying together just to say you got somebody. People do stuff like that. Just to say I got somebody, I stay in the house. And yet the house is completely trashed in the area of love is not there. It's just living, breathing individuals living there. And yet love is completely vacant in the area of being found. I think I think in all of this, there was a love that had went sour somewhere. Turmoil is related to that. Devastation is related to that. I think love somewhere in that household had went sour. As it went down south. Love went down south and went sour somewhere. Completely, totally. Completely in the opposite, but not the opposite. If that makes sense. Those people relationship could in fact be actually bare. It could be. I'm saying that husband and that wife. The husband and the wife, the relationship could be bare as in all being seen. As in me looking into it for what it in fact could be. A spousal and cheating or something. Spousal and cheating. Because even if that father was molesting his daughter, that's cheating as well. It is. That's cheating. That's going against your own mother is what it is. But is for the father, it's also going against your own lover, which is your wife. This whole thing does not make sense. This whole ordeal and situation does not make sense. And that's a long time for something to be let go of. This case should have never even been closed from the very start. You don't just close a case like this, a case such as big like this, and walk away from it. Gotta find out answers. Gotta find, and I bet police probably scoped into the family, right? But they probably didn't take it all the way there, as in head on. They probably just looked at the family as the illusion that it actually is, and not for the very detail. To see the hollow hole in which it is. As in like no love standing there. Something about that environment is completely hollow. As in that situation, man. Somebody was not giving love. Somebody was not giving love to somebody. Even bodily. Even enough to commit bodily harm. Probably against a young child. In the most disrespectful way that you can. To bring about an outcome. And saying, look, I left this bag. Aha, I'm getting back to you. I'm getting back at you. Was the household hollow? Was love hollow there? Was the love hollow between husband and wife? That's basically all I'm going to say about that. The question has been stated, asked, as well as maintained on my end. I like to see things for what they really are. And not just what people try to present them as. Who was that? And not just what people try to present them as, because see, people can portray themselves as anything on any generalized TV screen. And yet all behind it is a closed cover. That's it. I'm empty of information. There's nothing else to be said. It's completely voided out. It's in my brain. Like how could you really do something like that? Like say take somebody or kill somebody, and then I was thinking about that earlier when I was gonna make this video. How could you really like take somebody and say kill somebody, and then know that their face is going to be shown on the screen, and yet you're standing there looking at the TV screen, and yet you don't even care? Like it's completely away from your awareness. Do people what? Shut the TV off and walk away from it? When they kill somebody or took somebody and had them missing, do they literally sit in a house or apartment complex or in a condominium, scope out the news, see what they've done, look at it for a little bit, and then turn the TV off? Do people do like that type of stuff? I'm in wonder and question. And yet I'm scared to find out. That's enough to drive you crazy and hopeless. My thoughts be darting along, man. They do. And trying to put stuff together, they be My thoughts will, this is how I know that information comes from God. Information or the universe. This is how I know information comes from either God or the universe, or one and the same, as people call God as well as universe, one and the same. This is how I know it comes from that very thing, is because when I start to run out of information, it's like information is gathered in my brain very, very quickly and rapidly, just as you saw me speaking, and yet I'm not thinking the whole time. Notice how I'm not thinking any of this out, and yet information is coming through my mouth. Some in bits and pieces I'm thinking here and there. You notice that I said I was thinking when I said I was thinking. And yet notice sometimes stuff flow out my mouth, and yet I'm not thinking. Stuff that makes sense. Somebody caught me on this and they called me out. They was like, girl, your brain be on the go. Where do you get information like that? I said, from either the universe or God. Because to be standing here and pause and take time to say, let me think, is to know you're thinking right then. And yet other times to say stuff and bring the information to you, as in to gather it without even thinking, and yet speaking it out in a free flow form, is to know that information had to come from somewhere and not from myself. It's not really totally coming from me. It's coming from a source, and that being God or the universe. So, sheesh. I was saying that in conclusion, the reason why I just said what I said is because as soon as I get to a point of where I'm standing right now, where I can't say anymore, that's how it happens. That in itself is scary enough to creep me out. And it does sometimes, because I can keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And I'm not really thinking until I say I'm thinking. I'll be like, hold on, wait a minute. And I get to looking in the air. That's when I'm thinking sometimes, but not completely. I don't even be thinking. It just stuff come to me. But once the train come to a halt, as in a stop, as in a standstill, as in we are closing and this is the end, that's to let you know that information is from God somewhere. Because no more information is being gathered, as in being used. Because remember, this case is brought before the public and presented, and yet I myself could have actually roamed all outside of that. I could have actually went deeper in relation to a coach, like somebody really close to the family or in the church, because supposedly them people went to church. Asia degree, her and her family went to church a lot. Going to school is to look into school teachers. And yet something about this information does not speak. It speaks right close to home. But from the beginning, I felt the father. But not only that, I kind of felt maybe it could be a family member or a teacher, school teacher or something like that. But yet, and still in any of these 2 videos that I made, I never went outside, not even now in this video, to scope out further. There's a reason why God or the universe will not allow me to go much further than where I'm standing. Because I can still sit here and scope even those other people out. As even an abductor, person that abduct people and take them away from home. But something's saying it's within home. It's close at home. That's what it's saying. My thoughts is completely at a standstill. And usually when I can find out and delve deeper into stuff, I keep going and going and going and going. And yet to stop right here at home within my own home, and to know that I'm looking deeper into somebody else's house, is to know that somewhere it's all been planted there in that house among them people. That mother, that father, that son, whatever. That's a family affair, is what I'm trying to say. Look into it. I just said the term and I ain't even think that. Notice how I'm not thinking. It's a family affair. I want you to question what in fact is a family affair. See, because a family affair could mean anything. It could just be what I just spoke about. This whole situation is in fact a family affair. But at the same time, I could be trying to tell you that it is in fact possibly a family affair. As in, a affair has something to do with the very escape, runaway, abduction, missing persons reports, as well as possible death in that buck bag of that young child. That's what I mean by family affair. Because a family affair is just that. It's a situation, but it also could mean and lead to a family which in fact possibly had an affair going on, which led to the demise of a young child. So I leave this situation to sit as it is. If more information comes to me, I'll let you know what's good. But that type of thing, you don't let it rest. Like I scope everything. You can see that, my brain. But when I try to go outside that family, nothing is there. Nothing is there when I try to go outside that family. I can try a coach out. I can try, because I'm running ring around in my mind. I'm running rings around useful information, even in the area of a coach. How can I run rings around a coach to see how he would have actually did it? I can't, because it don't feel like it's him. It don't fit him. How could I do that to a school teacher? Run rings around him with information to try to scope him out? I can't, because it don't even fit him. And yet it's been known that school teachers have in fact lured children out at night. Yet that doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, and it doesn't sit right. Even somebody from the church, you can pull random people, put information to them, and run rings around them till you figure it out, and yet none of them fit. The scope is right within that woman's house, right within that man's house, right within her brother's house. Somebody somewhere was having an affair with somebody. I'm thinking family affair. I'm thinking somebody somewhere was having an affair with somebody. Somebody found out about it, as in knew about it, yet didn't tell the mass media or public, and planted that bag and said, ah, ha, 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 I got at you like you got at me. That's all to be said about that. I want you to tell me what you think. I want you to tell me and be honest.